Right, we start with opening the EKS console. You can see here we've got just a couple of clusters already created. Right, so I'm going to use Cloud Shell here instead of using the Bastion host, because I just did it for a change. Because it has got a lot of the tools already installed, like AWS CLI and so on. But we need to install EKS control or EKS Cuttle or whatever we want to call it. So it's included in the blog here, in the blog post. So just copy and paste. All right, so just make sure that we move it to local/bin, just to make it persistent across reboots of Cloud Shell. So here we can see the EKS Cuttle version 0.164.0. AWS CLI is also installed. And kubectl is also installed as well, right? So you can see. So we have everything. We have 3 tools we need. Okay, as with everything with Amazon or AWS, everything is permissions based. So we'll see that here. We'll just see what user we're logged in as using the following command. So AWS sts get caller ID, right? So, or our caller identity. So you can see that's me, Martin.Hayes2. So everything I create here under that identity, I'll be the only person that will be able to access it, unless I explicitly allow other users to access this cluster. All right. So next, we're just going to deploy the control plane, set up the permissions as per the blog. Right, so we're going to set up the role for the control plane to access all the AWS entities. So I've done this on Notepad, and I'll upload the file into Cloud Console, which is quite handy. I think now I know we can do it with other editors and so on, but this is what I like about Cloud Shell, rather than me trying to flew around and trying to do editor within the editor, right? So I'm generally not too good at that. We upload the file, you can see it here. So this guy here, yeah, EKS cluster role trust policy.json. We'll upload it, we'll take a quick peek at it here. So we'll cat to that file just to see that's all it's good. So it's successful, you can see it there. There we go. All right, so all good. All right. Now next, we'll create that role and we'll attach the AWS managed permissions to it, and we'll take a quick look at the console in a second. So again, this is available on the blog and it'll be on the GitHub also. So here, go to the browser and the video. All right. So here we go. And you can see here, we'll probably have to do a refresh here. So we'll just do a search for the role, geos EKS cluster role, there it is. And you can see we'll just do refresh here, and you can see the AWS managed permissions attached. So Amazon EKS cluster policy, so you can see everything that's attached to this role will be able to do this stuff in AWS. Right, so delete root, create volume, create tags, so on and so forth. Right. So that's done. The next step then is that we've got our roles created. Let's go into the console and let's create the EKS control plane from the console. So we're going to call it geos.ppm/EKS. Our Kubernetes version will be the standard. Select the role that we just created. Use EKS cluster role. We'll use pretty much all the defaults from here. So select our VPC. Now we're going to trim down the amount of subnets. So the kind of rule here is the subnets have to be split across at least 2 AZs to allow for redundancy within the EKS control plane. Let's trim these back. So we PPDM DDV subnet A, subnet B, and subnet C. All right. Security groups we leave the same, we leave as the default. Next, next, next. So here are our add-ons. Our add-ons now will be interesting in the next video when we add a storage add-on, right, or persistent storage add-on for CSA. So create. Now this takes some time, so we'll pause this video and we'll come back in a second, and automatically it'll be, oh, it's active. So there we go. So we can see everything here. So very straightforward, right? So we've just created a permission. We've attached a permission to the role. Use that role to deploy the EKS control plane, and job done. All right. So you can see here the workload pods within the control plane, and so on. Of course, we've got no compute, so we have no worker nodes at the moment. And we'll do that next. So here's our networking. You see the 3 subnets. So again, for us to deploy the worker nodes, we're going to have to create a permission for EC2. Worker nodes will sit on an EC2 instance, or multiple EC2 instances. We're going to have to create permissions to allow it to access the AWS resources. What I've just done here as well in the Cloud Shell is to allow Cloud Shell access the control plane with that command. So AWS EKS update kubeconfig. Right, with the region and the cluster name. So you can see here that this is good, so I can actually access the cluster IP 10.100.0. Again, uploading permissions for EC2. So I've done that on just locally on my local machine because it's just easier. Uploaded the file. We catch that file here so we can take a quick look. So we cat to geos-node-role trust policy. And again, the same, right? So very similar. We'll just create a role, right? Paste in the config. Again, the config is on the, including the config on the blog and GitHub. All right, so yeah, my terminal just got a bit screwed up there, so we just open the terminal again, paste that again. Add the config. And let's go back up, go back into IAM, and we'll see our role, and we'll see the assumed permissions, or AWS managed permissions for that role. And we attach that role to those EC2 instances that get automatically deployed by EKS. So let's go to roles. Quickly just into roles, just search for a Geos role. So Geos EKS node roles, you can see that there. Scroll down and yep, so there you see our attached AWS managed policies. Right, so we'll just dig into it, you can see there, see the code. Again, what it's allowed attached to, and so on. All right, so now we've our roles and permissions done. So now let's deploy our worker nodes. Very straightforward, just jump back into our cluster. Compute, we're going to create a node group. Call it GS node group. Attach the node and permissions we've just created. Everything else pretty much standard. We're going to leave the same EC2 version. We're going to which is T3.medium, that's the standard. Minimum size of the cluster is going to be 2. Probably could have done 1. Subnets here, leave the 3 subnets. So we get some kind of redundancy across the cluster. And we go to create. Now this takes some time, go off, take some coffee or tea or whatnot. And we'll come back and it should be done. So just pause the recording here. And by magic, we're back, right? So you can see actually that it hasn't actually quite finished, so one of them's not ready yet, but we'll just do it again. CR2, still in creation mode. Okay, now we're ready, so pause and come back. So now we have an EKS control plane, we have 2 worker nodes, everything should be good. Just go to EC2, we'll just see where the EC2 instance got created. We have other instances running here, obviously, and we'll just go down, you can see this guy here. Click on him, and you can see the IAM role Geo's EKS node. So back into our console, and we'll run kubectl get nodes, and we should see our worker nodes, which means all is good. And here we go. So great. It's a great success. Right, so that's that for this video. I hope you enjoyed.